Peace, family. Queen here. As we wind down this year, last quarter, last month, Bitcoin is just having a fantastic end of the year party. So let's talk about it. All right. I want to share with you what my game plan will be for this arbitrage opportunity that I see right in front of me. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. Maybe I will expose you to an idea that you can further look into and possibly create a financial legacy for yourself and your family. If you've been following me for any length of time, then you already know I'm a huge Bitcoin fan. Have been since 2012. We just, November 4th was when Bitcoin hit 6 figures, and it's dipped a bit, been pretty steady, and right now we're a little bit over 100,000 per coin. And one of the things that people used to say, especially back in the old ICO days, when all these ICOs were being created, everyone was always talking about the next Bitcoin. The next Bitcoin. What is the next Bitcoin? And my opinion on that is there is not a next Bitcoin. There will not ever be a next Bitcoin, because the parameters that were aligned so perfectly to create this technology, it won't exist. It won't line up like that ever again. Like, it won't. So what is the next best thing? Well, from my research, MicroStrategy and the shares that they offer is the next best thing. Now, obviously, I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm going to share some information with you. And like I said, the onus is on you to follow the rabbit hole, to look further, and then to take action. But right now, as we sit, MicroStrategy announced, this write-up is actually today's date, that the shares jumped up as Bitcoin proxy. They're calling MicroStrategy Bitcoin proxy. Will join the NASDAQ 100 index and the QQQ ETF. This is pretty huge news, okay? So I'm on CNBC's website. As you can see there, that's the chairman and CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor. And I'm just going to read here a little bit. All right. It says the index inclusion, which takes effect December 23rd, comes after MicroStrategy's massive surge this year. In 2024, the stock is up 547%. Far outpacing the S&P's 26.9 advance as the price of Bitcoin scales to all-time highs. Bitcoin last traded around 103,806, up less than 1% on the day. So this is literally huge news. This is like, this is really huge news. And if you're not in, Bitcoin circles, you won't even really talk about in depth this type of stuff, around the Bitcoin ecosystem. But what I'm here to share with you is that this is a BFD. This is a big freaking deal. So let's take a look at this. All right. So right now, MicroStrategy is around $400 a share. Right. If we go to Coin Watch over here, I think Bitcoin was about 107 when I looked at it earlier. Right now it's 106. It touched all-time high today, 107,644. Okay, so let me go back here, and then I'll give you my synopsis or my strategy that I'm going to do. That just tag this on to my existing strategies I already have going with Bitcoin, but now with MicroStrategy And I wish I would have, just like with Bitcoin, right? I wish I would have really paid attention when MicroStrategy first started buying Bitcoin to stack a lot of shares of MicroStrategy. But I did it because, I didn't take the time to understand it. I didn't take the time to really see the monetary value that was just staring me right in the face. So hopefully, or not, but like I said, I'll share it. You decide to do with the information what you will. So let's look at this thread here on Twitter. I think this guy here, Joseph, sums it up really well. So I don't need to recreate any words. I'm just going to read through what he's talking about, and then I'll give you my synopsis. So he says, MSTR might be the ultimate Bitcoin play, even better than Bitcoin itself. With Friday's Triple Q edition, what Saylor has engineered is about to go into overdrive. Let me break down why. In a world on the Bitcoin standard, only assets that outperform Bitcoin will be invested in. Understand that. In a world on the Bitcoin standard, because that's where we're headed, right? We are headed to a Bitcoin standard. And let me tell you why this price is jumping so, is because the administration, let me just Google this, Trump looking at Bitcoin. I'm recording something. Reserve, Trump looking at Bitcoin reserve standard. All right. So this was 2 days ago, and this is from Forbes. And this is what the article states. Trump confirms Bitcoin reserve plans, 15 trillion price boom predicted. So looking at putting the USA on a Bitcoin reserve standard and purchasing about $15 trillion worth of Bitcoin. Now my question to you is, wait, let's go back here. Let's go back here. Okay, we don't need that anymore, so we can use this. Let's go back here and let's look at all right, so right now, the market cap for Bitcoin is 2 trillion, and the price, call it 106,000 at 2 trillion, okay? So if we take 2 trillion, divide it into 1 trillion, then we would take the price and we would divide that in half as well, right? So for every trillion, we're looking at how much per Bitcoin. Let me grab my fancy calculator. All right, so 106. What's that gonna be? 53? Yeah. 106 divided by 2. All right, so 53,000 per $1 trillion of market cap. Now, if the USA is looking to go on the Bitcoin standard, and Trump's already confirmed this, and they're looking at putting 15 trillion there, 53,000 is the price point per trillion of market cap of Bitcoin. So if we take this 53,000 and we multiply that by 15, then you're looking at over a $700,000 Bitcoin. I know. You may be thinking to yourself, Queen, that's ridiculous. Listen to me. I've been in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was not even at $1,000 yet. And people told me the same thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. Bitcoin will never go to 1,000. And then I remember when it went to 2. I remember when it went to 5. I remember when it went to 10. That was a big, big celebration. And then 12, and then 15, 17, 20 was a huge celebration when Bitcoin got to 20,000. That was, 2017. We had the big, big, big pullback. And then it's just climbing and climbing up to the right. Now we're talking about the world's richest country forwardly, thinking and looking to really capture the market share, because the first country, right? And why wouldn't it be the U.S., right? U.S. has the world reserve currency, but now it's going to have the global reserve asset, that's Bitcoin. So you're looking at $700,000 Bitcoin right there, just with the purchasing from the U.S., just getting themselves on the Bitcoin standard. So this is not even taking out the gold market, the bond market, the real estate market, all these other markets that are absolutely desperate for yield. Okay, so let me not get too far off track. Let me go back here. All right, and I want to finish reading this. So, in a world on the Bitcoin standard, only assets that outperform Bitcoin will be invested in. Right now, that's virtually impossible unless you have leveraged Bitcoin exposure entering MSTR. Most Bitcoin maxis say stick to Bitcoin only, and I get it, it's the safest bet with no counterparty risk. But we're witnessing a once-in-history opportunity as Saylor exploits the gap between fiat and Bitcoin worlds. Think about it. Why do growth stocks command such high P/E ratios? In a fiat world, money naturally gravitates towards equities as one of the few places to store value. Without hard money, capital has flowed to growth stocks seeking returns. But Bitcoin changes everything. It's the hardest money ever created. As capital realizes this, it will flow out of high PE growth stocks. The great rotation begins. Here's the beautiful paradox. While money flows out of growth stocks, MSTR becomes a unique hybrid. With the new FASB rules counting Bitcoin gains as earnings, that's another thing you want to go down the rabbit hole on, okay? Wall Street could value MSTR like a growth stock. This is the arbitrage that makes MSTR so powerful. As Bitcoin drains value from growth stocks, MSTR captures both flows, money flowing to Bitcoin and money seeking growth stock exposure. Wall Street buying leveraged Bitcoin exposure in growth stock clothing. The timing is perfect. MSTR just got added to the triple Qs. Now every passive NASDAQ investment indirectly buys Bitcoin. They're creating a bridge between fiat and Bitcoin worlds and getting paid handsomely for it. This is exactly why Saylor keeps talking about being a Bitcoin treasury. He's created a product institutional investors love. Options, bonds, pension funds, indices, retirement accounts. MSTR provides value as this bridge. As Safedine says, Bitcoin's value comes from replacing central banks, a massive reward, the only thing more valuable, using the traditional system against itself to accelerate Bitcoin adoption. Let's do the math. While Bitcoin heads to $1 million, Saylor's flywheel could accumulate 1 million Bitcoin, 1 trillion, equaling $1 trillion in the balance sheet. Today's roughly 2.8x NAV could hit 4 to 5x. Institutions value it like other triple Q stock growths, equals 4 trillion plus market cap. That's roughly 40x from here versus Bitcoin's 10x. You get it? You get it? MSTR is positioned to do a 40x right now, which is really conservative if you look at it, because the price point right now is what said $400. A 40x will bring it to 16,000. But with my other research, all the smart analysts are saying that they see MSTR going to above 35,000, 35 to 40,000 is what the really smart analysts have crunched the numbers to. And this, they're talking about over the next decade, right? So as Bitcoin, approaches 1 million per Bitcoin, MSTR will be approaching a $35,000 to a $40,000 price point per share. Think about this, okay? So my synopsis with this is, if you're not already at least 1 Bitcoin, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You better get there as soon as possible, as soon as possible. And you need to really be striving for 10. You really should be striving for 10 if you want to create, the life of your dreams, legacy wealth for you, your family, your children's children. You need to be shooting really for no less than 10, in my opinion. And then in addition to that, and again, I'm not giving you financial advice. In addition to that, If I had 100 grand laying around, I would definitely stuff that right into accumulating as many shares of MSTR as possible. Think about it. 100,000, purchasing $400 shares from MSTR. It gives you 250 shares. 250 shares in the next decade could be 35,000 per share. That's 8.7 M's. That's 8.7 million from a measly little $100,000 investment. Let's look at that. Let's look at the, let's see, 100,000 divided by, what did I say, 8.7 million? 0.7 million. 1149, let's see. Hang on, I did that wrong. Whoops, 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 go back one. Okay, divide that by 100,000. Yeah, 87. That's an 87x return. 87x return. So, let's finish this up. So my strategy is simple, and this is Joseph speaking. My strategy is simple. Hold Bitcoin directly for pre-retirement, future capital gains removal. MSTR, hold it in a Roth IRA for tax-free leverage exposure or any other type of tax-free strategy that you choose to use. And you get the best of both worlds. But remember, the arbitrage exists because of fiat system inefficiencies. Eventually, I have no clue when, you won't be able to trade weak money for hard money like this. That's what makes this a unique transitional opportunity. So what exactly is Saylor doing? Saylor is simply borrowing, okay? He's borrowing capital, weak capital, cheap capital, declining capital, depreciating capital at 0% interest, and then he's purchasing a hard asset that has over a 200 annual CAGR, cumulative growth rate, which is Bitcoin. Okay? So, two strategies or two options that you can utilize to stack more Bitcoin. Two options, and I'll leave this in the description of the video. Number one, there's a program, there's a big Bitcoin retirement program. You can click that link below, get information on that, see how that may be able to assist you. And then number two is sell money. That's another option, is to be, you may be aware of this, you may not be aware, but we have a boot camp for our capital funders broker program, where we show individuals how to create their own company, how to create their own business by helping other businesses to acquire capital. Simple, easy, very lucrative business model. And what I'm, some of the information that I'm sharing with my students and clients that are involved in that is, hey, as you're doing what you're doing and you're making money in whatever your profession is, your job is, or your business is, you want to look at creating a Bitcoin reserve strategy for your company. If you don't own a company, if you have a job, that's fine as well. You still need to have, in my opinion, a Bitcoin reserve strategy. Follow smart money. Follow smart money. All right, starting to rain here, so I don't want this to interfere with my video. So yeah, I'll see you in the next update. And best of prosperity for you entering into this new year. All right, bless up.